Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here today. Let me begin with a simple idea that changed my life a long time ago. There is a time to speak, and there is a time to work in silence. And I want you to think about that very carefully, because most people, without even realizing it, reverse the order. They speak loudly about what they want to do. They talk boldly about what they plan to become. And yet, the quiet work, the real work, never quite takes place. See, the truth is simple. Life rewards you publicly for what you practice privately. And if you're willing to embrace a season of quiet construction, you'll be amazed at what the next season of your life will look like. Now, what do I mean by a season of silent growth? I mean a period of time where you step back not from responsibility, not from life, but from noise, from the constant chatter of the world, from the opinions, the comparisons, the distractions that nibble away at your attention like mice in a grain bin. I promise you this, you cannot rise to greatness while answering every notification, reacting to every small disturbance, and entertaining every trivial conversation. So, I want to present you with a challenge today, a meaningful one, a powerful one, a challenge that, if you accept it, can transform the next chapter of your life. It's what I call the 90-day season of silent development. 90 days where you decide, this is my time to build, my time to grow, my time to sharpen the tools, my time to plant the seeds, not for applause, not for attention, not for validation, but for you. Because here's the truth. Before your results become visible to the world, they must first become undeniable to you. Before the fruit appears, the roots must grow. Before the applause comes, the discipline must take shape. That's the natural order. And the natural order has never failed anyone willing to obey it. And so, during these 90 days, we won't make loud announcements. We won't declare our intentions to the world. We won't broadcast our every step. No. We'll do something far more valuable. We'll work quietly, patiently, consistently, and we'll let the silence become the workshop of transformation. Think of it this way. Farmers don't shout into the soil. They plant, they water, they tend, and nature takes care of the rest. They understand that growth begins where no one can see it. And so must you. This 90-day season is your private workshop, your hidden laboratory, your quiet forge where a new version of you will be shaped, and if you embrace it fully, I assure you, the rewards will come. Not instantly, but inevitably. Now, in our time together, I'm going to show you exactly how to build this season, how to structure it, how to prepare your mind for it, and how to make sure that at the end of 90 days, you don't just have better habits, you have a better identity. Not just better results, better character. Because when you change, everything changes for you. So let's begin this journey. Let's commit to a season where noise decreases, discipline increases, and transformation becomes inevitable. And let the next 90 days become the proof that silent work leads to loud results. Now let's continue. Because before we talk about what to do in these 90 days, we must understand the philosophy behind them. You see, success isn't built on tactics alone. Success is built on philosophy, your personal philosophy. What you believe about life, what you believe about work, what you believe about yourself, and what you believe about the quiet seasons that prepare you for the public ones. So let me tell you what it means to disappear. And I want you to listen carefully. When I say disappear, I don't mean hiding from life. I don't mean isolating yourself from the world. I don't mean cutting ties with everyone you love. No, I mean withdrawing from noise, not from responsibility. I mean stepping away from distraction, not from discipline. I mean reducing chatter, not reducing contribution. Because believe me, the world today is noisy, too noisy. Everyone wants your attention. Everyone wants your reaction. Everyone wants your time. But here's the truth. If you keep giving the world instant access to your attention, you will never gain access to your potential. See, your dreams need space. Your goals need room. Your mind needs silence. And your character, it needs time to develop without interruption. I learned long ago that you can't become someone new while entertaining the same noise that kept you ordinary. Now, why 90 days? Because 90 days is long enough to break old habits, long enough to build new ones, long enough for discipline to stop feeling like discipline and start feeling like identity. If you give yourself 90 days of focused growth, you'll learn something extraordinary. The human being is capable of massive transformation in a short period of consistent time. And that's why this challenge matters. Because most people want transformation, but they never allow themselves the environment to transform. They want elevation, but they live surrounded by things that pull them down. They want clarity, but they don't step away long enough to think. Jim Rohn would say, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. And I want to add something to that today. You cannot work on yourself if you never disconnect from the noise pulling you away from yourself. So these 90 days aren't about running from the world. They're about returning to you. Your strength, your discipline, your vision, your future. Let me give you an image. Imagine you're building a house. Every nail, every plank, every measurement must be done carefully, quietly, intentionally. If people keep interrupting you, asking questions, pulling you away, what kind of house will you build? A weak one. But if you can work on that house without disturbance, if you can give your full energy, your full attention, your full presence, you build something strong, something lasting, something worthy. And that's what the next 90 days represent. The construction of a stronger you, a stronger mind, a stronger philosophy, a stronger identity. But remember this, the old you will not disappear quietly. Oh no. It will try to pull you back into your familiar patterns. It will tempt you with comfort, with routine, with the easy way. But that is why you must commit to the philosophy, not just the plan, because the plan guides your actions, but the philosophy guides your decisions. Once you understand the philosophy behind disappearing, you can begin quietly, steadily, confidently. This 90-day period becomes your private workshop, your place of personal construction, where the roots go deep so the results can rise high. Now that we've established the philosophy, let's move forward. Before we step into this 90-day season, we have to prepare the most important part of the whole journey, your mind, because the body will do what the mind allows. The habits will follow whatever identity you're willing to adopt. So preparation is not optional. Preparation is essential. Let me give you the first expectation. It's going to feel strange at the beginning. Silence feels uncomfortable for people who have lived in noise. Stillness feels unusual for a mind used to constant stimulation. Most people have been running on mental fast food for years. Short videos, quick opinions, instant responses. When you suddenly take that away, the mind panics a little. It says, where's the noise? Where's the drama? Where are the notifications that make me feel busy even when I'm not productive? But that discomfort, that's the withdrawal from distraction. And withdrawal is a sign of healing. Stay with it. Second expectation, some people won't understand. And that's perfectly fine. You don't owe everyone an explanation for every decision you make. You don't owe a speech. You don't owe permission. Most people won't understand why you're stepping back because they've never stepped forward in their own development. They're addicted to being seen, even when they're not becoming anything worth seeing. So remember this, you're not disappearing to impress them later. You're disappearing to transform you now. Third expectation, your old habits will try to pull you back. And believe me, the old you is persuasive. The old you knows your weak spots. The old you knows the excuses you find acceptable. The old you knows exactly what to whisper to keep you comfortable and unchanged. But here's the principle. The old identity doesn't vanish because you want it gone. It vanishes because you stop feeding it. You starve it with silence. You replace it with discipline. And that is a powerful combination. Now, one of the great steps in preparing for the 90 days is creating what I call your private promise. Not a public declaration on social media. Not a speech to your friends. A simple, private contract written by you, signed by you, for you. Because when you make a promise to yourself, you become the first person you must obey, and that's where character begins. Write down what these 90 days mean. Write down who you intend to become. Write down what habits you will practice. Write down the standards you will not negotiate. Think carefully. Think intentionally. Think honestly. Jim Rohn used to say, your future is built by design, not by default. And design begins on paper. Your life changes when your philosophy changes. And your philosophy changes when you take the time to write down exactly what you believe and exactly who you intend to become. Now, let's talk about identity. One of the most powerful things you can do before beginning this challenge is to define the identity you want to grow into. Because habits follow identity. Actions follow identity. Decisions follow identity. If you see yourself as inconsistent, you will behave inconsistently. But if you adopt a new identity, even before the results appear, the habits begin to shift. Ask yourself, who do I want to be after these 90 days? What does this person read? How does this person speak? How does this person manage time? What does this person tolerate? What does this person reject? When your identity becomes clear, the work becomes simple. Not easy, but simple. So prepare your mind thoughtfully. Prepare it honestly. Prepare it intentionally. Understanding that these 90 days are not a punishment, they are a privilege. A rare opportunity to build the mental, emotional, and philosophical foundation for the next chapter of your life. Once the mind is ready, the transformation can begin. And from here, the journey becomes far more structured and far more powerful. Now that your mind is prepared, let's talk about the real engine of transformation, the 4 pillars of your 90-day silent season. These pillars are simple, they are not complicated, but that's what makes them powerful. See, too many people lose themselves in complexity, too many moving parts, too many new tactics, too many shiny ideas. But success is built on a small set of disciplines practiced every single day. And if you get these 4 right, just these 4, you won't need motivational tricks or emotional fireworks. The system will do the work. The habits will carry the momentum. And consistency will become second nature. Let's begin with the first pillar. Pillar 1, daily self-education. Let me tell you something Jim Rohn repeated often. If you want things to change, you must change. If you want your life to get better, you must get better. And how do you get better? You learn. You study. You grow. Every day during these 90 days, you must dedicate time, quiet, focused time to self-education. Not scrolling, not consuming noise, not checking what the world is arguing about today. No, purposeful learning. 30 to 60 minutes. Every single day. Read 10 pages of a good book. Write 10 lines of reflection. Extract one idea you can apply. Just one idea. That's enough. People think learning is about quantity. It's not. Learning is about consistency. One seed planted daily becomes a forest. One insight applied daily becomes wisdom. 10 pages a day becomes 300 pages a month, and that's a different mind entirely. The goal of this first pillar is simple. You grow your mind so your mind can grow your life. Pillar 2, daily movement. Second, we must care for the body because the body is the container for the mind. And if the container is weak, the contents spill. Jim Rohn would say, treat your body like a temple, not a garage. Now, I'm not asking you to train like an athlete. I'm not telling you to run marathons or lift mountains. I'm saying move every day without negotiation. A long walk, a quiet stretch, some light strength work, a short workout. The specific movement doesn't matter. The daily active movement does. Movement creates energy. Energy creates momentum. Momentum creates consistency. And consistency creates transformation. You are building a machine, your life machine. Fuel it. Strengthen it. Maintain it. Pillar 3, daily productive work. Now we come to the third pillar. Your productive work, your craft, your skill, your business, your career. This is where you put your hands to work. Not just learning, not just planning, not dreaming, but building producing, creating, executing. Every day, you give your craft a dedicated block of time. No multitasking, no noise, no distractions competing for your attention. Just you and the work. Because work done with full attention is worth 10 times more than work done with divided attention. Jim Rohn called it the miracle of personal development. As you become better, you become more valuable. And these 90 days are about increasing your value quietly. You may not see all the results immediately, but believe me, the seeds are being planted in every focused session, and those seeds never forget to grow. Pillar 4, daily reflection. Finally, we arrive at the fourth pillar, reflection. Most people rush from day to day with no pause, no distance, no clarity. But successful people, wise people, take time to think, not to worry, not to fear, but to think. And every evening during these 90 days, I want you to reflect 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe more if you need it, but reflect. Ask yourself, what did I learn today? What did I build today? What did I improve today? What needs attention tomorrow? Because here's the principle. Reflection turns experience into insight, and insight turns insight into action. Without reflection, the day evaporates. With reflection, the day compounds. And let me tell you, a compounded day is a powerful thing. A week of compounded days creates momentum. A month of compounded days creates transformation. And 90 days of reflection creates a new person. These 4 pillars, education, movement, productive work, reflection, are the bones of your transformation. Practice them daily, and your life will gain strength. Practice them consistently, and your life will gain direction. Practice them silently, and your life will gain depth. This is the architecture of your silent season. Strong, simple, sustainable. Now that we've covered the 4 pillars, it's time for something just as important, your environment. And let me tell you, designing the right environment for your 90-day season is not optional. It is essential, because environment is powerful. More powerful than motivation. More powerful than willpower. More powerful than good intentions. Jim Rohn said something I've never forgotten. You cannot change your life until you change your environment. Why? Because your environment shapes your behavior long before your intentions get a vote. Let me make this simple. If you live in a noisy world, you will live a noisy life. If you sit around distractions, you will live distracted. If your phone is always beside you, your attention will always be elsewhere. If clutter fills your space, clutter will fill your mind. So if you want to transform your life over the next 90 days, you must transform the space you live in, the space you work in, and the space you think in. 1. Remove distractions silently, quickly, decisively. Now listen. Removing distractions doesn't require an announcement. You don't have to say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm deleting an app. No, just delete it. Quietly. Distractions multiply. Distractions seduce. Distractions steal your future in small pieces. And the worst part? Most people don't notice until 10 years have vanished. So make it simple. Remove 1 app. Remove 1 habit. Remove 1 source of noise. Remove 1 unnecessary obligation. You don't need to clean your whole life in 1 day. Just begin clearing the path. 1 distraction removed is 1 victory gained. 2. Add growth to your environment. After you subtract the noise, you must add the tools that support your new identity. You need a reading space, a chair, or a corner that signals, this is where I grow my mind. You need a writing space somewhere your journal sits open, ready to serve you. You need a movement space, even a small one, that invites your body to participate in your goals. You need a work environment organized, clean, intentional, free of clutter. Now remember this, you don't need a perfect space. You need a purposeful space. Perfection is not the requirement. Intention is. Set up small corners of your life that whisper to you, this is who we are becoming. And soon, your environment becomes a silent mentor. 3. Create digital boundaries. This is the era where technology can either elevate you or enslave you. And most people, they live enslaved. Their phone buzzes and they respond like trained animals. Notifications lead their attention. Algorithms shape their thoughts, and the next day looks exactly like the last. So let's keep it simple. During your silent season, adopt a few digital boundaries. No phone in the first hour of the morning. No mindless scrolling at night. No reacting to every message the moment it arrives. No living at the mercy of other people's urgency. Because the moment you control your attention, you begin controlling your destiny. And that's not a little change, that's a life change. 4. Clean, organize, and prepare your physical space. A clean environment promotes a clean mind. An organized desk promotes organized thoughts. A prepared space promotes prepared decisions. It's difficult to rise like a champion while living in an environment that reflects disorder. So take some time, maybe an afternoon, to clean your room, your desk, your kitchen, your workspace. Not perfectly, not obsessively, just intentionally. Let your space tell the truth about your future, not your past. 5. Understand that environment shapes identity. Here is one of the great lessons of life. You do not rise to your goals. You fall to the level of your environment. If your environment supports growth, you will grow. If your environment supports discipline, you will become disciplined. If your environment supports focus, you will become focused. And if your environment is chaotic, it will pull you back to the person you're trying to outgrow. So use these 90 days to design an environment that makes consistency easier, not harder. Make growth natural, not forced. Make focus comfortable, not painful. When you create the right surroundings, your behavior changes automatically. And when your behavior changes, your life changes. Design your environment with intention. Design it quietly. Design it wisely. Because the person you will be in 90 days is being shaped by the space you build today. Now let's talk about the heart of this entire journey, consistency. Because anyone can be disciplined for one day. Anyone can be committed for 1 week. Almost anyone can be enthusiastic for a short period of time. But 90 days? That requires something different. That requires character. That requires philosophy. That requires a system, not a mood. And let me share with you one of Jim Rohn's great principles. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. And discipline is not something you wait to feel. Discipline is something you decide. So let's talk about how to maintain that discipline quietly, powerfully, and consistently for the entire 90 days. 1. Understand the discipline rule. Do it whether you feel like it or not. Feelings are wonderful. They color our lives. They enrich our experiences. But feelings make a terrible foundation for success. If you rely on motivation, you'll fail. Motivation is a spark. It starts the engine, but it doesn't drive the car. The driver is discipline. Discipline says, I do what I should do when I should do it, whether I feel like it or not. Say that to yourself quietly every morning and watch what it does to your life. 2. The non-negotiable 5 rule. Here's a powerful technique. On the days when you're tired, on the days when you're overwhelmed, on the days when life feels heavy, you do 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes of each pillar. Not perfect. Not impressive. Not heroic. Just 5 minutes. Why? Because consistency is built by continuity, not perfection. Missing a day isn't about productivity, it's about identity. When you keep the streak alive, even at the smallest level, you preserve momentum. And momentum is the secret power behind transformation. 5 minutes done is always better than 1 hour avoided. 3. Follow the never miss twice law. You are human. You might miss a day. You might fall short on a task. Life is unpredictable. But here's the law. You can miss once. You cannot miss twice. Missing once is an event. Missing twice becomes a pattern. Missing 3 times becomes a habit. And missing a week becomes a lifestyle. So when you slip, and you might stand back up immediately, the faster you return, the smaller the damage. Success belongs to the person who returns quickly. 4. Understand the stages of momentum. Let me prepare you for something important. Consistency grows in phases. It doesn't feel the same on day 3 as it does on day 30, or day 60, or day 90. Week 1-3, resistance. Everything feels unfamiliar. The old habits fight back. Your mind tries to bargain. This is normal. This is expected. This is the price of change. Week 4-6, routine. The fog lifts. The mind adapts. The body adjusts. You begin to trust the process. You start choosing discipline automatically. Week 7-9, identity shift. You no longer force yourself to behave like the person you want to be. You are that person. Habits begin to run on their own. Confidence rises. Clarity increases. Week 10-12, visible results. Others notice. Your environment responds. Your work improves. Your energy rises, and transformation becomes undeniable. Once you know these phases, you won't panic when the early days feel difficult. You'll say, yes, this is the resistance phase. I expected you. Awareness gives strength. 5. How to handle doubt and boredom. Let me give you a little secret. Doubt visits everyone. Boredom visits everyone. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're growing. Doubt says, is this working? Boredom says, where's the excitement? But listen closely. A quiet life can feel boring before it feels powerful. Because for the first time, you are not being entertained. You are being transformed. You see, growth is not fireworks. Growth is effort. Growth is not entertainment. Growth is repetition. Growth is not applause. Growth is direction. Don't fear boredom. Boredom is the silence where mastery begins. 6. Why consistency compounds? Now here's the golden truth. Small disciplines compound just like money does. One day of discipline feels insignificant, but one day repeated 90 times, that's character. That's identity. That's a new life. Small disciplines, small wins. Small wins, confidence. Confidence, bigger disciplines. Bigger disciplines, exponential results. This is the chain. This is the formula. This is the secret. And the beauty of consistency is this. It doesn't require brilliance. It doesn't require luck. It doesn't require talent. It requires commitment. It requires patience. It requires endurance. And anyone can practice those. Stay consistent. Stay steady. Stay quiet. Because the person who shows up every day, whether enthusiastically or reluctantly, writes a future the world cannot ignore. Now, after you've been consistent for a while, after you've honored the pillars, protected the environment, and stayed steady in your silent season, something remarkable begins to happen. Not outside first. Not in the results. Not in the applause. Inside. Inside you. Because transformation is an inside job long before it becomes an outside reality. Let me walk you through it. Slowly. Carefully. Because these inner changes are the true reward of the silent 90 days. 1. Mental transformation. A sharper, clearer mind. One of the first things you'll notice is your mind beginning to clear. Not because life magically becomes easier, but because you become quieter. You think differently. You focus better. You follow through more often. You notice thoughts you once ignored. When you reduce noise, the mind has space to breathe. When you reduce distraction, the mind has room to think. Jim Rohn used to say, thinking is a gift, but thinking well is a discipline. And during these 90 days, that discipline begins to take shape. Your thoughts become organized. Your ideas become sharper. Your decisions become intentional. And you discover something powerful. A calm mind is a strong mind. 2. Emotional transformation, a steadier heart. Next, your emotions begin to shift. You're less reactive, less frantic, less overwhelmed by small things. Why? Because consistency gives you emotional gravity. Reflection gives you emotional understanding. Silence gives you emotional space. You stop living on the roller coaster of external circumstances. Instead, you build a foundation inside yourself. And once a person becomes calm internally, they stop negotiating their peace with the chaos of the world. You feel more grounded, more centered, more stable. And stability feels good. Stability feels rare. Stability feels empowering. 3. Physical transformation, a body that supports the journey. As the days accumulate, your body begins to respond as well. Little by little, silently, steadily. You sleep better. You move better. You breathe deeper. Your energy rises. Not because you pushed yourself like a maniac, but because you honored your health with consistency instead of intensity. Jim Rohn said it many times. Take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. Your physical strength becomes an ally. Your energy becomes a resource. Your body starts supporting your goals instead of resisting them. 4. Identity transformation, becoming the person you once admired. Now comes the most profound change of all identity. Not just what you do, but who you believe yourself to be. Let me tell you something important. Consistency doesn't just build habits. Consistency builds identity. And identity is destiny. After a few weeks, you no longer try to be disciplined. You are disciplined. You no longer work hard occasionally. You are someone who works with intention. You no longer pretend to be consistent. You are consistent. Slowly, you begin to respect yourself more. You trust yourself more. You rely on yourself more. You become the kind of person you used to admire from a distance. And that shift, that is priceless. That is powerful. That is permanent. Because once your identity upgrades, your life upgrades automatically. 5. Internal quiet becomes internal strength. Here's something most people never discover. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is strength. Silence is power. When the world stops distracting you, when the mind stops scattering you, when your environment stops pulling you in 100 directions, an inner power rises, a quiet one, a confident one, a steady one. You don't feel frantic anymore. You don't feel rushed. You don't feel behind. You feel composed. You feel intentional. You feel in control. And this new power isn't loud. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention. It simply is, like a deep current beneath the surface of a calm ocean. That is the internal shift that 90 days of silence, discipline, and consistency create. The greatest reward, Jim Rohn said, the greatest reward from discipline is not what you get. The greatest reward is what you become. And after 90 days, you become someone different, someone better, someone stronger, someone wiser. Your inner world becomes the solid foundation from which your outer world will soon grow. The silence becomes strength. The strength becomes identity. And the identity becomes destiny. Now, once the inner transformation begins to take root, and believe me, it will, something else begins to happen. Something subtle at first, then unmistakable. Your outer world starts to change. Not because you forced it, not because you demanded it, not because you announced anything, but because the external world always rearranges itself around a person who rearranges their internal world. Let me walk you through these outer changes. And pay attention. These are the signs that your silent season is working. 1. Your results begin to speak for you. The first external change is simple. People start noticing something different. Maybe they can't explain it. Maybe they don't know what changed. Maybe they can't point to a single moment or event, but they sense something. Your tone changes. Your posture improves. Your decisions sharpen. Your consistency becomes visible. Your calm becomes obvious. You don't have to say a word. Your results speak louder than your explanations ever could. Jim Rohn would say, success leaves clues, and so does inconsistency. But during these 90 days, your success starts leaving clues everywhere. And people notice. 2, opportunities begin to find you. This is one of the greatest surprises life gives to the consistent person. When you work in silence, when you develop in private, when you grow without announcing it, opportunities begin appearing without you chasing them. Why? Because people are drawn to stability. People are drawn to discipline. People are drawn to competence. People are drawn to the individual who clearly works harder on themselves than they do on anything else. You become someone worth investing in, worth trusting, worth promoting, worth partnering with. Your value rises, and so does your visibility. Not through noise, but through excellence. 3, your relationships begin to shift. Here's something fascinating. When you grow, not everyone will grow with you. And that's okay. Growth requires pruning. You'll notice 2 things. Some people drift away because they were connected to your old patterns, not your new purpose. Other people draw closer, people who value growth, people who support discipline, people who have direction. You attract what you become. You repel what you outgrow. Your standards rise, and so do the standards of the relationships around you. And let me assure you, that's not loss. That's alignment. 4, your work begins to improve. Quiet consistency has a miraculous effect on the quality of your work. Your craft gets sharper. Your output gets cleaner. Your judgment gets stronger. Your productivity increases without force. Your creativity becomes deeper and more natural. Most people try to improve their work without improving themselves. But you've taken the opposite path, and that path always wins. Because when you elevate the worker, the work must rise with them. Jim Rohn said it perfectly. The bigger the person, the smaller the problem. The smaller the person, the bigger the problem. And now, problems that once intimidated you become manageable. Challenges that once overwhelmed you become opportunities for discipline. Your work reflects your inner growth. 5, your environment begins to respond to you. Now, this next part is beautiful. When you become consistent, disciplined, thoughtful, and intentional, your environment begins to change without you forcing it. People treat you differently. Your standards influence others. Your presence commands more respect. Your attitude inspires action. You're no longer pulled by your surroundings. You begin shaping them. And here's the principle. The world always makes room for a person who knows where they're going. When you walk with intention, life steps aside and lets you pass. When you speak with clarity, your words carry more weight. When you hold yourself to higher standards, others rise to meet them. Your environment responds to your identity, and your identity is now stronger than ever. 6, the public rewards the private work, and eventually the season arrives where the world sees what you've been building quietly. Your results become visible. Your progress becomes undeniable. Your transformation becomes inspiring. People see the fruit, but not the roots. People see the success, but not the sacrifice. People see the change, but not the quiet decisions that created it. And that's exactly how it should be, because the 90 days were not for the world. They were for you, and the world simply receives the benefit of what you built in silence. Your outer world changes when your inner world matures. Your results change when your habits change. Your influence changes when your identity changes. The silent work becomes the loud transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the end of this journey, I want to leave you with a thought that has served me well for many years. Success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract by the person you become. And these 90 days, this silent season you are entering, are not about chasing success. They are about becoming the kind of person success cannot ignore. Remember, you didn't step away from the world to hide. You stepped away to build, to sharpen, to strengthen, to prepare. You entered the silence not to escape life, but to elevate it. And now you stand at the beginning of a new season, a season where the discipline you practice quietly begins to shape your future loudly, a season where the roots you planted in private produce fruits the world will one day taste. A season where the habits you repeated daily become the identity you carry confidently. So let me remind you of the truth we've uncovered together. You don't need permission to grow. You don't need applause to begin. You don't need an audience to transform. Growth is not a performance. Growth is a decision, and you have made that decision. As you walk forward into these 90 days, keep this thought in mind. Don't announce it. Don't broadcast it. Don't explain it. Begin quietly. Work faithfully. Endure consistently. And let your results introduce you later. Because people might not notice your discipline today, but they will not be able to deny your transformation tomorrow. So ask yourself, one last time, who could I become if the next 90 days were my most disciplined days ever? Not perfect disciplined, not loud consistent, not dramatic intentional. That question is your doorway, your invitation, your call to action. And the answer? Well, your future will reveal it. Start tomorrow morning. Start small. Start silently. Start becoming, because the world will notice eventually. And when it does, it will be undeniable. Thank you for listening. Your silent season begins now.